ulti accuracy, unless you count damage as that one. But we are here in the picks and bans. Olaf and Sivir banned away. Nidalee, Kennen banned away so far.
And it's not
holding up.
It's not just accuracy, it's efficiency of it, or effectiveness. Because he's using it in lines to zone people off. I do like this adjustment of the Rek'Sai ban. If you're going to ban anything, you ban the Rek'Sai.
Now, of course, Elise is up whenever it wants to be taken here by Coast, and I think that's likely what Shrimp is to do here in this game. And already hovering it. Thing is, Coast have no rush on picking this champion up. She's not going to go anywhere else, but we've actually seen multiple times in this series, people are playing more counter-pick based. Their enemy shows a jungler, they pick a jungler. Enemy shows support, they pick support. And they're picking their big solo lanes typically much later, unless that champion's Azir.
So you would assume it's another Braum pick up early?
You'd expect. Worked for him last time. They could just play the same poke composition. And in fact, it's almost better with Elise. More ways to fish for stuff.
Yep. A little more pick.
But of course, this comp can go either way. It's good against poke, it's good as poke. They're actually decent team fighters.
Yeah, they're just playing the counter game. I feel like Coast feel like they're better pound for pound across the board, save for the mid lane, and we have heard Peek and Wolf say exactly that.
So if you're just doing fine.
If you're just going for counter pick and trying to beat them in the laning phase, then I guess that's the way to go.
Well, we'll see if that happens here. Renegades, once again, I like their dual lane there. Kalista, Morgana, the Black Shield into Braum, very solid, and Maple was so dominant on this Kalista. They could do it again here. And with the least to gum up the works, it could be really scary. There's so much crowd control coming out of Kalista Morg that you just need damage from one other source. And those battles go well. Tracking Crumbs will be hard.
Do you take the Azir here early for Peek?
I think you do.
Make sure that Alex doesn't get it.
Well, once again, it seems like Azir's not important because the fact that they even grabbed the Morgana. This was no rush. Renegades had every opportunity to pick that champion up.
Yep, so it is going to be Peek and Wolf's Azir. It's one of his best champions, if not the best for him. And we've seen it every game this series, just back and forth. And whoever gets that champion just has very effective mid lane. But Mash on this Vayne Braum. Now, one of the most annoying things about this combination is you always want to focus down Vayne, and Braum just flat out stops you from doing that if you're a ranged champion.
Yeah. It's weird how the timing works out in this composition, though. Just sort of at number of auto attacks wise, Vayne triggers Silver Bolts at the same time as she triggers the stun, but then doesn't have enough time to land a second set of Silver Bolts before the stun wears off. So you have to take a really long trade if you're going to abuse
them.
Okay,
and then
sure.
You get enough. No,
I mean, that one I'll give you if you can make that happen, but yeah, I mean, she has auto attack resets, not quite Lucian status, but this might be crazy. And oh, that's why they let Azir up. Renegades letting him go for the champion, picking up the Kassadin mid lane with right now Alex is hovering teleport. And top lane Shen going to really just prey on this bottom lane. They can all get down there.
They're looking for absolute global pressure here. Not only is it a Shen, it's a Shen with an Evelynn. And this is something that we've been seeing make more resurgence as both those champions are very good in the current meta. But the submarine play, if Evelynn can sneak behind the bot lane, you can TP onto him with the Shen, and then you're like, well, why is the Shen in the middle of the lane behind me? It's an absolute disaster for the enemy team. I love these pickups here. And basically, a lot of action is going to happen in that bot lane. They're going to try to shut down RF.
Which is why this Gnar is so important. They're going to try to shut down Match, which is why Chris getting Gnar here is so important. When we watched the North American Challenger Series quarterfinals, we had our guest analysts say Gnar is supposed to win that matchup really hard and expected Gamsu to do much more against Impact. We actually saw that very thing happen when Dyrus played the matchup in the other quarterfinal here, and he crushed it. This could very well be the case here for Chris. He won his first Gnar game because the lane swap went better for him, but if he could win the outright matchup, that is a very big deal here for Coast, and he's supposed to. The question then becomes, how well can Crumbs counter gank or Alex counter gank or all these people affect the various matchups around the map?
But Crumbs' pressure on this Evelynn. We haven't seen an Evelynn in this series yet. It's typically banned.
I think it's been banned every single time until now.
You always have to think about where it can be. So Shrimp, there's a lot of pressure on him. His counter jungling style might be effective against Evelynn. We'll have to see what ends up happening here in that jungle matchup. But I do feel like there's a lot of pressure on Mash. Mash and Conquan. You're going to have a lot of visitors to your lane if that TP stays on Alex Each. A lot of people are going to show up there. It's going to be roll call in the bot lane.
And it might be difficult to deal with, which is why, again, I think it then comes down to who can pressure, right? Peekawolf should have lane pressure on Alex. Chris should have lane pressure on RF, which then makes it overextended champions available to be ganked by an Evelynn, and then tracking that champion becomes so important. There's so many ways this game can spiral out and affect the different lanes because keeping them pressured is a big deal, and it's going to be a very fun Game 4. So as the teams load onto the Rift, share your votes online. Send hashtag RNG win or hashtag CST win to @LPL Esports. This is do or die time right now for Renegades. They must win this game to stay alive. And if Chris and crew can knock down this Nexus this game, they head back into the LCS for 2016.
It is do or die time for Renegades, but it's just do it time for Coast.
We'll see if they can make that happen. Here we go as the base unlocks. We are afoot.
I like this Caston pick. I like it a lot. TP, so he's not going to have the lane pressure early on, but if Caston never had lane pressure early on, the opponent is just misplaying the matchup.
True.
Welcome to Summoners.
Puts a lot of pressure on PK post 6, especially level 11 and onward. And Caston is regarded as that counter pick to the Azir.
But we'll see if he can make it happen.
But I definitely feel like these are all tools to try and get to MASH and shut down MASH.
Also keep in mind, Elise, a really, really scary ganker. And he could absolutely find his way into that mid lane gank 3-6 and punish Alex Ich. Early game Cassidans can absolutely be pressured here. We don't typically see Shrimp gank mid. And we actually usually see Shrimp go hard farm, but Elise is much less of a hard farm champion.
He doesn't really force anything mid. He's always counter ganking mid.
Right. But he's prioritizing the minions usually.
Yeah, he's prioritizing minions, but also he doesn't gank for Peek and Wolf unless Peek and Wolf is getting ganked. It seems to be the way it goes because he's always focused on going to the side lanes, going to where the TPs are, and so that he gets priority on top lane, or he goes to the bot lane and they just create a 4-on-4. But here, Peek and Wolf is going to have to be on top of his game because if he is not roaming to follow a TP of Alex or stopping Alex's TP, which you can no longer do with just Eing in, shifting sands, you have to blow your ultimate to do so. This is going to be a big deal. So Peek and Wolf has to be able to kind of notice the weaknesses of Alex each on the Caston pick and exploit those. Otherwise, Alex is just going to have a really good time in this lane come mid-game.
We're going to see the lanes diverge a little bit here as we get the early game matchups pointed out. All of Coast actually start on the bot side of the jungle. Standard, Krugs and Gromp start for the duo lanes who will match up at the bot side. But while Elisa and Gnar start on the right side, it's actually RF and Crumb starting over on the left, which means they can go for that level 3 gank on the bot lane and tilt that matchup very early. Always a chance that kind of thing happens. There's the recall from RF, should head top pretty cleanly. Same thing for the Gnar. 2 camps in the recall for the top side. And Evelyn actually looking to go aggressive into the jungle. Crumbs. I know, aggressive into mid lane.
Yep, here comes the gank to Peek and Wolf. He's only level 2, he has W and Q,
He's
he doesn't
spotted
have
though.
escape.
This will be a couple hundred damage dealt. And he is in fact annoying. Peek and Wolf loses a potion for that.
Yep, costs a potion. The total toll of that. Galaxy just gets the poke.
Trades decently.
Walk back into it.
Yeah, the shield blocks 1 Q and 1 auto attack it seems right now. Solid trade. Renegades are pushing up in the bot lane, and actually it's 13 CS to 5. MASH is actually missing a lot right now via all this pressure.
Yeah, every time MASH picks Vayne, I always feel it's him getting to that mode where he just says to himself, you know what, I'm better than this guy. I'm just going to beat this guy in the lane.
I don't think it's necessarily true here. Great bind by Remilia. Took aggro for it though, so more damage dealt to the Renegade squad for that play. Another CS miss. Cannon did not go through.
Getting shoved in really hard. Remilia also assists with wave clear when she spams the W on the minions. So shoving in on the Vayne is actually a lot easier with that support at your side.
Yep.
But yeah, like I said, MASH, he's a very confident player, but I feel like this is when he locks in the Vayne, not because it's a compositional thing, but because he wants to carry a game. He wants to just go have some fun, and he feels like he's better than the other guy.
Well,
it's not working out that way this game, though.
It is early laning. Honestly, it is a strength of Kalista and a weakness of Vayne, so you have to expect some level of disparity here. Alex Ich burns teleport to get back in a lane, picks up Flask plus Doran's Ring plus potions.
They're clearing each other's jungle.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
But this is the stylistic difference. Crumbs kills the Gromp, leaves. Shrimp kills the Gromp, clears the wolves, then he leaves.
So, 1 camp counter jungle has a partial clear and 1 camp fully cleared away. Peek and Wolf, though, still playing the push game. Now, keep in mind, I don't know if Alex is going to take much damage here. Goes for the slow and just does not get hit back. Elise is here as the counter gank only. There is no fight to be had. Out he goes. Gold close to equal. Small lead for Renegades. top lane matchups, only ±5. So Chris right now not bullying RF too much as there is a wave for Shen to farm.
Here comes the focus onto the bot lane, though. Crumbs pushing up into the lane. Level 6 is almost on top laners. They just hit level 5, so it is actually a decent amount of time before that. We're looking at about another minute.
And a nice defensive pink ward Peek and Wolf, going to keep him reasonably safe. And actually it sees far enough down that he can often watch Evelyn go for the flank as well. Shrimp still hiding this one. He's cleared only a couple of jungle camps away. We've got an aggressive pink ward. Conquan actually in a really bad spot, has to flash out, but it still might die to ignite.
Nope, he's good.
So close here. Conquan really chunked out. The bot lane going so well for Renegades. We have a 12 minion lead at 5.5 minutes.
Shrimp, he went mid, got LCK's flash very early on. Able to force a play there.
Yeah,
that's straight across the map, but that definitely pushes them out of the lane. Conquan, he's now just, this is playing scared in the lane. You don't have enough HP to actually contest anything.
Yep. And you were never going to win this match in the first place. You can't land CC, and you can't land better auto attacks than Kalista. This is purely, you can only play defensive in this matchup now for Coast. And Conquan now missing flash. A bind hits, and he might just die.
Shrimp hasn't even backed yet for a jungle item. So there's no way he just comes straight into the lane and actually goes for a fight here, knowing that the skirmish power of Crumbs in the 2-on-2, 3-on-3 when it would be created to that way would actually be worse. Because you can't even go to this lane due to the fact that Shen will come.
Right, there's nothing right now that Coast can do to turn this lane around. Ami Cinder picked up. Of course, it's Cinderhulk Evelyn, but Elise, but goes for it before the upgraded Smite. So camps will die very fast. We'll gain a lot of experience. And Elise so far playing the farm game slightly ahead still of Crumbs. Actually kind of keeping his team in the game gold-wise because bot lane is very far apart.
That's true. 300 gold deficit between MASH and Maple Street. 300 gold deficit between Shrimp and Crumbs. So Shrimp's farming is paying off and making up for the deficit that MASH has.
Yeah. Really also earning plenty of gold on the Spell Thieves. Doing really, really well on that one, actually. Shrimps are trying to get Scuttlers. Always good to get the money in. Of course, that will not really track Evelyn. It's just there for the money, which is totally fine, of course.
I mean, that's what Shrimp is all about. He's only here for the money.
That can be taken so many wrong ways.
No, he actually came over here from Korea, and I asked him why he didn't join a Korean team. He's young. He wants to be able to get to travel while he's young. He thinks it's a great opportunity. And then I asked his teammates where they found him, and they're like, we don't know! He just came from Korea. Randomly, I don't know, but Coast's talent scouting.
Solid.
Found an unknown player who hadn't played competitively at all.
Pretty nice stuff for them.
Strength of the
Definitely
roster.
been an all-star. Oh, yeah. Shrimp has been an absolute all-star for these guys. He's done so much for them. And he's actually been one of their late-game win conditions. I know Jat was saying that, you know, sometimes the games are long because he's farming instead of setting up other plays, but I guess at the same time, he still ends up being the reason they end the games, too. So it's a weird double-edged sword. Crumbs going around the side. He's going to get into the tri-bridge if he wants to. There are no pink wards here, and be careful. Coast about to lose this turret. The flash bind, very well played. Not going to catch anything. Beautifully played. The kill comes through. They will knock down Vermilion. No, the kill does not come in. Elise doesn't show at all.
That's the bot lane focus right there.
Beautifully done by Renegades.
Alex each could have TP'd in there too. They just have so much focus. They still have TP from Alex. They still have TP from RF. They can make a play similar to that again. There goes his TP top just to make sure that he holds the turret. And that's one of the bad parts of facing a Shen, is even if he leaves the lane, he just comes back even stronger because he got kills bottom. He just uses a TP for it.
Well, RF doing his best Obi-Wan Kenobi impression. You strike him down, he comes back stronger than before.
This is really cool because Shrimp, he knows that he wasn't able to get anything for this, so he goes and gets the blue.
Solid. Gets the entire camp. Nope. There's a lot of gold XP in that one, but he leaves the other little small one. Stuns up the Scuttler, removes its stats. Vermilion gonna look for a bind. Spiderling says thank you. And morphs in time to not get 5 gold over to Vermilion. Well played.
Swapping their dual lane up into the top lane. They have to be cautious of this.
Alex is not taking damage this matchup. As much as Catherine's supposed to be a bit of a weak laner, he's really not losing by much, if anything.
Yeah, you don't actually lose that hard against Azir. I've actually played that matchup the very little times that I've played mid, and it feels really bad as the Azir, because every time you go for a trade, you're spending more mana than he is just to Q. And then you're doing less damage because of his shield.
Renegades keeping the pressure on, though, on the other side of the map. Mid lane is fine. The rest of the map going quite well as top lane Outer is taking damage. Crumbs is around just to make sure all is safe. He's going to get revealed clearing his blue. These guys know where Crumbs is, but he's already got his Rune Glaive done thanks to his 2 kills. He's now actually back ahead of Shrimp because of this.
I actually like that a lot. He warded it up, he kept one open, made sure that Crumbs had to reveal himself when he was clearing that camp. Nice little play around the Evelynn, but you can see Evelynn going around the top lane. They're going to trade these turrets.
Yeah, so smart by Coast, again, they're finding the right places to go. They are aware of the fact they're behind in some of these matchups. Top lane is going to go down, so they trade for bottom lane Outer instead. Coast do a good job of that.
I feel like Renegades, though, definitely have the upper hand in this game.
Oh, of course.
I feel like their win condition is just more solid and easier to play to. Get rid of Nash, have ways to reach Peek and Wolf, shut down those 2 damage dealers. If you can just keep Chris in check and not let him get this enormous advantage,
yeah,
RF slowly but surely will be able to out-duel him.
If he's ahead.
Well, Shen's getting incredibly strong based off the HP scaling of magic damage. Shen's get scary. Shen's getting incredibly scary. But even if you're even with him, you just get to leave the lane
Right, you get to go do
more
Shen
frequently.
things. It doesn't even matter if you win. He doesn't have to win to be useful. And right now, Renegades doing a good job of almost everything. Dragon, though, does still go over to Coast. They've done such a good job of getting these objectives picked up. Of course, when the duel lanes were put the way they were, honestly, Renegades, they traded turrets and then lost Dragon. I can't even say I really appreciate what Maple and Vermilion
Maple's
did
too far
there.
forward.
Oh, wow.
This is a Maple problem. He's always in the lane by
The
himself.
ultis can come in, though. Here comes Shen. Here comes the ulti in from Chris as well. And Alex Sitch. Exhaust is on. They really want this damage. There's the Cocoon. It is before the Black Shield comes in, but it's not enough damage. Chris's mini-Gnar. He can't ult anymore. He popped it anyway. And now the big Evo to the big knockup from
nice
Morgana.
knockup.
And that's going to be a cleanup here. Shrimp does get 1, but it's a 3-for-1 all said. Renegades far ahead.
Hey, it's the Maple Street problem where he's always shoving a side lane when a team fight happens. Team fight comes to him, boom, roll call in the bottom lane. Everybody shows up, and Peek and Wolf is left not knowing what to do.
Yeah, and even Maple being alone, you still know you can outnumber him by having your top laner and mid laner show up first.
This is so good, too, because this is just Maple Street as a player. How many times have we seen Maple Street just split push in the mid game, and then it costs his team a team fight or it costs him his life? They play to that tendency, and they end up only losing Maple Street. So they got what they came for, but they lost a lot more than they thought they had to do so.
It's still weird there for Coast to fight in that scenario where they know, even though the jungler's there, they know the mid laner is going to show up before theirs, and they don't have a guaranteed good set of numbers here. And unfortunate, Coast have kind of lived and died by their very aggressive, 12-minute tower dives roughly. In Game 2, it backfired. In Game 3, it won them the game. Here in Game 4, it backfired.
So when you're counter picking in Champion Select, you feel like you just have better laners across the board. If they beat you, it's gonna be through global pressure because they're just hyper focusing one person to accelerate them, to make it so that if you camp this person, boom, everybody's there. If you go for the other side, your mid laner's gonna show up beforehand. So I feel like this is a great strategy against Coast, who are just counter picking lanes, right? The Gnar into Shen.
Yeah.
They counter picked. They picked up the Elise afterwards. They're like, oh, this is really good against Evelynn because she stays squishy. If she gets caught, it's a big deal.
But the problem is Coast picked such a weak bottom lane.
Yeah.
Renegades got a couple of winning lanes.
They picked a weak bottom. They picked a weak bottom lane up against a composition that's going to pretty much go bottom over and over and over again from Renegade's side.
Yeah. I think a really silly champ select here from Coast. I really, really dislike this Vayne.
I feel like this Vayne was a lot of hubris. Shrimp, though.
Gonna look for the play. He can land a Cocoon on RF. RF does not have any way of getting out without flash. Q lands from Braum. One more auto attack will stun him.
Not gonna be able to follow that, though. They are gonna get this turret, though, but they're wrapping around Peek and Wolf.
Peek and Wolf gets hit up. He's got an ultimate.
There's a Black
pushes back
Shield
for some time, and now he's gonna go for a flash.
Oh, Crumbs!
Crumbs is fine. Alex Edge gets the easy kill picked up.
Alex Edge
Crumbs
picks
is
up
in
the
no
kill,
danger at all.
but they're still pushing the bot wave, too. Renegades are getting so much off of this. They're executing on the global composition so well, and Coast are just not playing against it at all. The weak bottom lane and the fact that they are not going to the sources of the TPs. They are going to the bot lane, which is exactly where you want, where Renegades wants you to go.
Coast finally went to the right place to go into the source of the global, right? You actually have to gank the teleport or you don't get anything going right. Problem is, they're so far behind. They just pushed bottom and didn't care. He could ignore the fact that there was pressure elsewhere on the map. More got picked up. Much better played gank. Renegades even farther ahead.
Yeah.
4,000.
Go to the source, or you group up and fight because you think your 5-on-5 is better. But right now...
And they got the dragon for it, but there was no dragon to fight, so you have to go to the source.
Yeah, and Alex H 3-0-1 on Kassadin. He's just going to start becoming a monster here, especially for Peek and Wolf. See, they just dive Peek and Wolf, no problem. The Rod of Ages very early on, too. So Alex is in a great spot on this Kassadin, and it's only going to get better for him over time.
Yep.
Past the early game Kassadin.
Gets better and better and better. 3-0-1 on that champion. Crumbs, though, what a turnaround between the previous game and this one here. His Lee Sin started out 0-3-1. Well, here he is 3-0-3, getting all the things to happen. The pressure is there.
Yeah, 100% kill participation. Same thing with Vermilia, though. Just keep focusing the bottom lane. Keep going to that source.
Yep. And everyone just keeps showing up. It is a source of income. Bottom lane turret was so easily crashed. It was already down to 10% in just the straight 2-on-2. Really easily executed dive afterwards. Smart by Renegades to make that play happen. Bonfon just playing defense, puts the shield up for Shrimp. Coast are just getting farther and farther behind, though.
Coast need to farm up with Mash. Mash needs to be able to grab some free farm on this Vayne, get to a point where even if he gets to the point where he could duel Maple Street's Callista, it's never a duel.
Nope, never. No, and that's part of the problem with Vayne here is, I mean, you can use it to split push up against the Shen, but Gnar was already supposed to be able to do that. Like, that was already supposed to be there. That was the counter pick. Chris picked that one up. You don't need another duelist. And with Coast setting up for that kind of pick, just you're seeing the missed of the champ select payoff in this game. There were plays available, but Renegades so far outplaying as well.
Renegades showing that they have communication over Coast, that they're able to execute on a composition like this. I don't think a Coast could run a composition like this because it just requires everybody to be on the same page all the time. And Coast pretty much are, you know, 5 individuals all doing their own thing. Sometimes they come together, but that just seems to be how they've gotten through Challengers' individual skill, and Renegades are exploiting that.
So, Renegades on the path to victory here. Maybe they can tie up the series in this one. Dragon number 2 of the game will spawn in 10 seconds. Coast, who have relied on these so heavily in winning their games, will probably start losing control of these objectives. Every single game so far this series has been dictated by a 12 to 20 minute mid-sized team fight that went crushingly in one way, and the comebacks never happened. So Renegades, they will get this dragon very clean, very easy, no stopping it. And there's very little for Coast to push down. They can look for top lane, kind of. But how much will they really get here? As tier 2 turrets are fairly hard to crack. Renegades have already knocked down all 3 outers. Mid lane being defended by Alex H, and weirdly, many teams will often spend a lot of time shoving down a Kassadin's lane. His wave clear is pretty bad, he's melee, he can't defend it. And yet Coast have actually not yet knocked that one down.
That's the big problem here is Renegades don't have wave clear, ranged wave clear that's good. You're going to have to wait for maybe a Hurricane on Maple, but even then...
Oh, wow, they're already looking. Wow, they get the knockout of Peek and Wolf into the binding. He's going to pop the Emperor's Divide, and here comes more of the team. But will it really be enough? They get a couple of damage points onto Maple Street, but he's not going down. Shrimp's in a bad spot. Some damage back onto Alex. He gets away, too. And Chris is not finding anything to do. It's already 2 kills for 0. Chris can't get any kills up, and Renegades walk with just enough health to get a 2 for 0.
Vermilia played that so well, putting the black shield on, making sure she can't get knocked back by an Emperor's Divide, and the binding at the end to stop Chris from getting into the fight with his last few seconds of Mega Gnar. Well played there, and Shrimp, nope, came into that fight, had to back up Peek and Wolf, but they're putting a lot of pressure, and it's just the global comp once again coming out with a victory.
And mid lane under fire once more. Conquan buying what time he can, but he's still got to be careful that he does not get taken down. Mash having to defend an inhibitor turret before 19 minutes here.
When we were talking about Chris at the start of the match and how RF isn't looking to fight him, Chris just beating RF in just one-on-one matchups over and over again, and RF plays the cannon, right? He goes and looks for the team fights, and that's how they win. They don't win off of RF just beating Chris in lane. They did it again. Yep. Shen, RF wants to leave lane and make it a team fight victory that way. Nice throw in there. Amelia, point blank binding on a Peek and Wolf. Black shields herself so she can stay in range.
Ooh, and a whiff Braum multi hits nothing.
Yeah, was able to dodge out of it. And then this binding here. Whoop.
Really good flash by Alex. He would have died one more attack.
Yep. One more attack from that. Mash couldn't really get a good target in that.
He got Maple Street low, and then Maple Street walked out.
Yep.
He got Alex H low. The sun even landed. He flashed one auto from death. And some of that is Mash being behind. If he had the level of gold Maple had, he might have gotten one more crit, might have gotten the kill. Absolutely a possibility, but there are situations where gold leads can matter. Do 100 more damage, kill comes through. Attack a little bit faster, kill comes through. Talisman Ascension now done on Remilia. Picking fights not going to be hard for Renegades here. They've already shown they have the ability to do this. The gold lead now 4.7 thousand. 20 minutes in, that's pretty good.
But you can see the kill participation across the board for Renegades. 6, 7, 6, 7, 7, right? That's just the global composition and everybody grouping up. And then you look over the side of Coast, they only have one kill in the entire game, and it was Maple Street when they all focused in bot lane. This game, I feel like it's going to get more and more out of control here over time.
Remilia totally safe. And wow, they push her back in.
Oh, Crumbs
almost lands on
trying
Alex.
to deliver.
Crumbs a bit far ahead, though. He's going to take so much damage here, but they go back into the back lines. Crumbs not yet going to go down. RF takes some damage, but they've already picked off 2. Shrimp and Peek and Wolf are gone. Renegades just have the stats to win these fights. Conquan's going to get stunned, going to get killed. Chris cannot find anything to do, and yet again, Renegades win a team fight.
Renegades just playing global comp, but this time they just walked at them. I love the delivery system there. Crumbs came around from a different direction, got the Shen ultimate, and delivered him to the back line, so then he got the multiple person taunt off.
Now Renegades do not make the risky call. They do not say Baron off of this. They actually going to play it much more safe. They're just going back to the waves, getting the minions under control, and letting the respawns and the heals come in. So that fight was just like 1,500 gold. Just meant kills and assists. Played a bit slower.
See that again here, because Crumbs, you see him off on the right flank. He's wanted to start this from the beginning. The TP comes through. That's Alex. Crumbs off on the side. You Emperor's Divide Alex out of the fight, but it's a level 12 Caston. He's got some cooldown with the boots, and he's just going to get right back into it. Kill Peek and Wolf on the side, and RF was able to keep MASH busy. So they had both big damage dealers occupied.
And Maple just chewing through everybody so easily. 2-1 and 8. Highest KP on his team now. Tied for first, I suppose, but still.
It's the bot lane. The bot lane just has a lot. Everybody's coming to that bottom lane, regardless of where they are.
Which, again, is slightly to the fault of Coast, who should have been pressuring the Caston or the Shen and were not able to do so. Those are the ones you got to pick on. Those are the matchups that you're supposed to be able to win, because to be a balanced champion, they don't have the best landing phases.
But I like it, though. They're relying on teamwork to beat the individual skill of each Coast player.
Yep, and it's working quite nicely. Renegades looking to tie this series up. They're up 10 kills. They're up 6,500 gold. Certainly a likely situation now to make this series go 2-2. Now, over in Europe, we went to Game 5, where the first seed did end up winning it all in the end. North America, I think we'll have 5 games, but the winner definitely unknown here.
I don't know if we'll have 5 just yet. It seems very, very likely, though.
Yeah.
I love the composition from Renegades, but, I mean, weirder things have happened. Barons.
Of course. But Renegades typically known for a good shot, calling it less likely for them to let this one slip away. MASH will get Scuttle. Big chunk of damage. There it goes. 23 minutes, 20 into the game. Crumbs slinking around the side. Mid lane now the area of pressure for Coast. Again, there was not much wave clear for Renegades, but their team fight's so much stronger.
And also sitting on a lot of gold here for MASH and Peek and Wolf, the 2 damage dealers. Combined, they're sitting on 2,600 gold.
Yeah, these guys will have to buy then. MASH can't afford a Shiv or a Phantom Dancer yet, though. He's got a ways to go. Peek and Wolf can at least buy a big AP stick, but Dragon is up, and it would be Dragon number 2. I don't think Coast can contest this. I think they have to just play to the mid lane.
Chris just hit Meganar as well.
They can't fight this.
Not for
Shrimp pushed around, has Aegis and a Giant Spell. Audie's not actually finishing Locket. I'm surprised by that slightly.
Split push from Chris has to back off. They don't have vision control of that area. I'm very surprised, though, that they don't actually feint towards the Baron on Coast side and even possibly go up towards RF. They're going to try it, though.
They're going to try, you're right. Here they go. RF jumps away. Slow comes in for MASH.
No flash.
There is no flash, so RF has nowhere else to go. Shrimp's going to land some CC. A great cocoon. MASH gets the kill. Finally, something happens, but mid lane just gets the return pressure. Mid-outer already gone just for a kill on Shen and a kill onto MASH.
And when you kill the source of the TP of the global...
The rest of your team, though, is still overextended, though, as they were very split up. Chris Cannot TP away from a Cassidy. Put some damage on a Crumbs, actually. Just a decent amount. Flashes out. Alex still in the chase.
Oh, here's Armilia, though.
Gets the ulti. Mega Gnar is here.
Pushes him
away.
away.
Back out. Still going to get stunned by Armilia, though. This will be the cleanup kill. Alex going to get it. He's going to get it. Unstoppable 5-0-4.
He had just enough mana for that. I was like, I don't know, I think he's out of mana, but he had just enough to do that. But also, like I was saying, when you go to the source of the TP, you only have this small 30-second window right now to actually do something. Because he has the TP and he has the Shen ultimate, that's the only window you get from actually killing him. You have to exploit that window, and you can't let those things happen, or else it's just a whitewash. You don't do anything with it.
And we saw that's kind of exactly what happened there. Very solid stuff coming out from Renegades, always able to counteract the moves, and being ahead, of course, you expect to knock down turrets quickly, but done a great job of that one. 4-2 in that scoreline. Bottom lane tier 2 is gone, plus all the outers.
The Renegades, they have been better about closing out games when they have a lead. Definitely looking to even this series up 2-2 and go to that final game 5 for the spot in the LCS.
7.4 thousand up. This number keeps growing steadily, but very quickly, in fact. We're going to see Zhonya's come out of Vermilia here. And that's going to make it even crazier when Maple Street throws her in, and just nothing's going to go well for the Coast lineup. Conquan playing as defensively as possible is going to go, wow, Merc treads, and then also heading towards the face of the Mountain Shield. Block it done for Shrimp, so the big shields are coming in. But Renegade's not really lacking in damage with Maple Street this far ahead. You know, these shields for like this burst durability don't really hinder them much. If it was only Cassidy, yeah, okay, stopping burst would be enough and Renegades wouldn't have great team fight. But Maple, largely untouched, a big damage source.
Well, when they do touch him, he gets everybody piling into the bottom lane.
With enough shields, I don't think he can really easily go down unless you have misplays.
It's so hard to figure out who to target in this composition.
You frontline it. Coast have to frontline. They have, I mean, they have Vayne and Azir. These are two of the highest DPS champions in the game. You have to hit Shen first, then hit the Evelyn, like, and hit whatever you can.
Yeah,
the problem is these tanks are tricky. They can get out.
And meanwhile, you might be getting flanked by the Evelyn.
Right.
You might have the Shen coming in from a different angle, and you have Alex Each on top of you.
Yep.
And Vermilia is going to get thrown in as well. So you have to play these immaculately from Coast's side, whereas Renegades, they get to just execute global pressure. They're already far enough ahead that they just have to do a standard fight.
Right, and they have Shen ulti, Morgana, Black Shields, and Kalista ulti to keep some of the missteps safe. It's very hard for Coast to get in on this game. It's going to require quite a bit. Unfortunately for Pekin Wolf, he is 0-3-0. He has not been a part of anything useful for his team just yet. Chris himself also 0-2, but he is very far ahead farm-wise over RF.
Complete control of the Baron pit for Renegades at the moment. Red buff getting handed over to Mash right before something goes down. Alex Each on the split push.
All right, here comes the big play. They want
Submarine.
in with Crumbs. Nice knockback. Pekin Wolf stays safe, but the binding hits him anyway. And this is going to be pretty rough. Conquan buying as much time as possible. Still going to go very, very low. Chris already burned the ulti. Mash does get the pickup on Vermilia, though. So we're seeing these trade back and forth. The Azir turret bought a lot of time. And a 1-for-1. Oh, overextension, though. There's the push on in. It still trades 1-for-1. Mash is alive with a double kill. He goes for Alex. Not quite going to get it. And the cleanup crew comes through. Maple Street brings it home.
Like I said, they just have to start a standard fight and then just all show up, and it was perfectly played there. RF didn't even have to use his flash in that last play. Beautiful taunt at the end to re-engage.
And even though RF went down, it was the right kind of fight for Renegades to have. They're just ahead in gold. It makes it pretty easy.
Get a turret here, too.
Yeah,
Two
already
turrets.
10,000 gold up. Mid lane inhibitor turret gonna go down. They already knocked down tier 2. Speaking of respawns, he's not gonna stop anything here. Nicely done by Renegades.
Renegades 10k gold up. 29 minutes in. They have Baron control at the moment. And they're just playing these team fights really well. Right here, though, would have liked a black shield on it so that he could actually get all the way through there. But then, boom, Conquan frontlining for so long. He keeps Pekin Wolf alive for so long. And then Chris comes in from the backside, not able to actually get a very effective Gnar off. But then this part of the fight, they get the stun on, and that causes Mash to overextend. Boom. Triple taunt there. That was Mash walking too far forward, and right here, walking far forward again.
Yeah, Mash walks up into the Kalista, who's able to easily pressure these fights. You just think about the tanky difference between the front lines here. Braum had to absorb so much damage at the very start, and Elise just not as far ahead as Shrimp normally is. Lista gets to break through those champions very easily pre-armor pen.
She's hitting pretty much everybody, too.
Yep.
It's not just that
melee-heavy team fight. 3 melees in battle. Makes Hurricane even better than it normally is.
Get the full effectiveness of it.
Yep.
Alex looking for a flank. Crumbs looking for a flank. Looking for to deliver. There's the TP. There's the Gen
again. He wants in. Peek and Wolf.
Oh my God!
Just goes away. Good luck dealing with that one. Alex Itch gonna take a lot of damage, though. He will get killed for that one. And there's a big front line for Mash. Mermilia's gone. RF's gonna get chunked down by Silver Bolts. It's a battle of the 80 carries. Who's gonna go down first? Crumbs will lose his life. Mash versus Maple Street. Who's gonna win the battle? The Ren's gonna be big. Nearly takes him out. Let's go. Maple Street gets a double kill. Can he knock down Conquan? It's gonna be close.
Oh, he got the jump away.
But that is a team fight win for Coast in a direct 5-on-5. Vayne got enough damage down, killed the front line fast enough. Coast gets some shutdown gold.
Oh yeah, a lot of shutdown gold. A lot of these members didn't have any deaths until now. Alex Each, Crumbs, big victory there for them. But they're still going to hand over this dragon. 3rd dragon to Renegades. They still have that 5th dragon win condition on the table. Crumbs blows up Peek and Wolf. Boom! AP, he is gone. But then Alex jumps over the wall. Peek and Wolf got off the Emperor's Divide before he died, and then it makes the Zhonya's useless. Really good ultimate there from Conquan. And then this, you were talking about frontlining. All you have to do is just keep dealing the damage with the Vayne. I don't know if Vermilia actually had the Zhonya's at that point. No, she did not. She just now got it. But oh man, everybody just trying to get away from Maple Street in those few moments because the cocoon didn't hit.
Yep.
If the cocoon had landed, it would have been the go button. Everybody get in there, everybody pile on. But when it missed, abort, get out of there.
Well, Alex Itch gets stunned up by Cocoon. Mid lane outer finally goes down. Just like a few games ago, Coast down 3 turrets. 3-6. Coast trying to get control back over Baron. Now, Dragon 3 in tow is a good thing for Renegades. They get to run around the map much more easily. And that could be very scary. Gnar has teleport. RF is close to having his own ultimate. 4 seconds away from that cooldown.
Control of Baron goes over to Coast. And Chris?
Chris will win this matchup, by the way. Equal in levels. Actually, no, up in levels and up in items.
Yeah, he has.
RF will not have pressure.
He almost has 100 more CS. RF is just solely jumping into these fights with those 17 assists that he has.
Yeah.
And that's where his gold is coming from.
17 assists, and yet Chris is still up about 800 gold.
Yeah, more turrets,
the 2 of them.
more assists, 17 assists, but it's just it's all that CS, that 100 CS difference.
Yeah, if Chris did not have, oh god, Peek and Wolf. Just, oh actually, wow, nicely played. But keep in mind, RF's still coming around. Summoner heal popped and flash. Peek and Wolf's missing summoners now, but he's got Chris nearby. He sees Crumbs. Peek and Wolf is alive.
My god, here comes
he's
the
gonna buy some slows. Here comes the teleports. Shrimp finds a bit, and Mash is alive right now. He's gonna find RF. Peek and Wolf does die. Chris goes down as well. It's a 2-for-0. They will finally trade RF, but is the front line even big enough? They're still piling in. Mash is gonna get Crumbs. He's trying to run away, but Maple's gonna find him. He's gonna get the kill, I assume, and he does so. It's an ace for 2 for Renegades.
And Renegades' best games usually are when Maple Street is carrying them. They have a really good jungler, they have a top laner who's just applying global pressure, and then they have Alex Each. But Maple Street, when he deals the most damage in the game, Renegades are walking away with a victory.
And it's going to look so good for them now. They have time on the respawns, but they choose to go for Baron instead of for the Nexus itself. I think they could have knocked down 1 or 2 turrets, but they played a slightly slower, slightly safer play. Baron should be clean for these guys if Maple can jump the wall.
I love the idea more and more. We saw it with TSM as well, right? So bear with me on this. When you have a very strong player on your team, make it so that that player is in a position not to just not sacrifice their own pressure, but to accelerate and like bring up your weaker members, right? You're seeing players like Bjergsen play Lulu mid to help Dyers, to help them focus on different lanes. If you're just so consistent in one area, help that spill over into other parts of the map. instead of having to work on dominating a lane in order to get an advantage. I feel like that's a much more consistent way to do it. You see RF, he's still down 100 CS, but he's zoning, he's a part of this fight, and he's able to spill his lead over to Maple Street, because now Maple doesn't have pressure on him the entire fight long. And I love the submarine start to this too. We didn't get to see it, but when
third time in a row,
when they're able to pull off the Evelyn Shen combo, right onto Peek and Wolf every time. The guy's 0, 6, and 5. Most deaths on his team. They are gunning for him every single moment they have.
You know, for what it's worth, this Vayne is starting to pay off in the later game. As much as we were given Mash crap, and they did lose the early game largely because of the Vayne. That lane got crushed.
Yeah, he's 100 CS down.
Yep, but he's doing good in team fights. Now the thing is, imagine a team fight where Peek and Wolf doesn't die at the start. It's been multiple submarines, multiple great engages by Renegades. Props to them for getting that kill, but they're winning their team fights 4v5. Every single time it's a 4v5. I want to see what happens if Peek and Wolf actually survives the beginning of the battle and they can get a decent team fight. But right now, Renegades with Baron buff, looking to knock down top lane. Here comes the Shelly. They want in right now, and there's not any teammates coming to their aid just yet. Free reign over top lane. Turret's down. Inhibitor next.
Yeah, Mash and Chris were bot lane trying to make a sneaky gank onto RF, and RF just says, nope, I'm going top, and helps them push down this turret and start a fight. So they get nothing for that, and they just lose a turret on Coast side.
That's the difficulty when the rest of your members can push so cleanly and so easily from the gold lead and from Baron. You have so little time to make a play on the other side of the map. It didn't happen here for Coast. Top lane inhibitor will be going down here. And a nice play by Renegades. Ulti pop by Conquan for no avail. 2 inhibs down. Coast have to run away. And bot lane is going to be the next easy target here. Renegades can easily pick up all 3 inhibitors.
They still have a Baron buff up too, so as soon as they push this minion wave, which is not that far away, it's about a tier 2 distance away from this inhibitor turret.
And they have Crumbs and Alex in position to flank. This is going to be difficult.
RF doesn't have his ultimate, so he'll just have to walk himself into the fight. But he's already there. There's no other place for him to really be on the map.
It's fine.
Renegades desperately wanting to take this to game 5, even up the score and put the pressure back onto Coast. Because right now, coming into this, Renegades had their backs against the wall.
And as they push on in, the bot lane is the target. There's minion waves pulling the attention of Coast. Conquan defending this as best he can. The turret will not die this wave. There is still gold coming in towards Coast. They're going to get the minions here, but 13,000 the gold deficit. Ulti pops. He tries to prepare for the mid laner coming in. Peek and Wolf solo has to run away. And Alex Ich, Rift walks in. Pop Zonia's Rift walks out. Nothing gained here. Mash just getting farm, and he popped his ulti, so Renegade's going to get this bottom inhibitor turret. No one's going to stop them here.
And Alex just does so much damage right now. If anybody gets near, seems shredding them without putting himself at too much risk.
No more Zonias for him, but he does have Flash. 7-1 and 13. 11-1 and 11 for Maple Street. Mid lane revives soon. Bot lane turret summoned by Azir to buy some time, and Coast will absorb the golden XP here.
Yeah, that's the big thing, is Coast will be able to get all of this golden XP. Renegades, though, they will pick up the 4th dragon of the game. They're going to put themselves in a position for that 5th around the 46, 44 minute mark.
Yep. If they want it, it's there. I don't think it'll take this long. Renegades don't need Dragon 5.
Gotta watch out for the farm, though. Mash picking up farm, something he hasn't been able to do pretty much all game long. It's gonna be scary.
I actually don't like Mash going BT here, by the way. The reason being, he's actually not the target of Kassadin. He's actually not taking the burst damage. He needs to kill off RF, and RF has a ton of armor. He actually really needs the Last Whisper. Or if he's gonna go for a 500 gold item, just go Infinity Edge. You've already got Phantom Dancer. He needs an optimal DPS build.
You want to see an IE
on Vayne
Last
3rd
Whisper.
item. Yeah, one of those 2 items instead of Bloodthirster on Vayne. I think he really, really needs those items coming out. He's going 2nd Phantom Dancer. I think he needs better auto attack damage from this.
I feel like he's just banking on the fact that, you know, the attack speed will transition into true damage on the Shen.
I mean, I'm aware of the theory of the build, but the math doesn't back it up. It does not do more damage than going for a conventional AD carry build on Vayne. The pieces are harder to buy. Infinity is hard to buy 30 minutes into the game, I get that. But when you don't have any other slots taken up and you're getting 2 lanes of farm, and you bought a Bloodthirster, which has a BF sword in it, just go and 50 edge.
Pro tips.
I do a lot of math. Make up for my lack of skill.
Notice that. The lack of skill and the mostly the math, though. I'm always a little surprised by how quickly you do the math, too.
Well, Bottom inhibitor's about to die. You don't need math for that one. The health bar getting really low. Deacon Wolf so far surviving. Still has no MR in his build. I feel like he really needs an Abyssal Scepter. I'm surprised he hasn't bought one.
I'm surprised he hasn't gone for a Zhonya's. When people jump on him just to pop the Zhonya's.
Absolutely right. The fact that he went Void Staff third when he's getting one shot, I understand he wants to play frontline damage output, which is what Void Staff does for him. But yeah, no Abyssal, no Zhonya's makes his life so painful. And he's just getting focused down.
Also makes his death very painful too.
True. At least it's quick though. So it's less painful than other. That's good.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Like RS death is much more painful than Pekin Wolf's.
Slowly but surely, having multiple arrows in me. It's Boromir status.
You hit by like 15 crossbow bolts. Like that would hurt a lot.
When you actually think about it, League of Legends is pretty brutal. You have this gigantic spider sinking its fangs into you. And then you just have this guy who's punching you, this big man with a mustache.
Yeah.
And then this little guy's throwing a boomerang at you. It's like, it's rude.
And it actually
it's
hurts.
rude.
It goes through you somehow. I don't know how, but it does. Actually, oh god, that's a really brutal boomerang. Dear lord.
All right, let's stop thinking about it. Let's stop thinking about it. Back to the game. There's 28 seconds on the Baron now.
And that's Renegades. It's pretty much their birthright at this point. 13,000 gold up. How are you going to stop them when they can one-shot almost anyone on your team? Mash has the Bloodthirster shield. He's a bit safer. But we'll see what they can do with this one.
But
Pretty good wards.
They were able to just farm up all of the minions. Their 2 inhibitors are back up. They have all 3 inhibs intact at the moment. The split push is coming out from RF. So, Coast are actually in a pretty good position for contesting. The only bad position is they're just down 13,000 gold.
Well,
it's a pretty bad position.
Renegades not sweeping the Baron ward here. They're keeping the 4-on-4 afoot, and here comes the Shen ulti. He's going on to Alex Say Trump in the front line. They're going to look to lock down Crumbs. They pick him off. Pekin Wolf gets to deal damage, and Mash is alive too. But there's still so much burst coming out. A double kill for Amelia. In goes Alex, gets the third. They're all going down. This is the team fight for Renegades. They can win the game off this one.
Really early engage there too. Chris didn't have his Meganar bar going. And then the grouped up team fight, the ball of stats from Renegades, they're just going to take the game right here, 42 minutes in.
There's nothing to stop them now. There's the surrender. Coast knows it. Renegades knows it. We're going to Game 5. Renegades get the victory in Game 4.
Great composition there from Renegades.
Yeah.
Play as a team, win as a team. Go to the bottom, shut down Mash. Mash had one of the worst picks you could have in the laning phase, and that's where they pressed it.
And the thing is, Renegades baited it. We saw Azir picked very early, very many times in this series, and then second round for Renegades, they pick a role that's already been grabbed. They picked the Morgana when Braum was already seen. They had the chance to pick Azir and said, still up, guys. Coast went in for it. They grabbed it. The Kassadin comes through. The Shen comes through, and out of nowhere, last round blue side, global comp. It's here. Oh crap, it's too late to switch, Coast. You picked the champions already. Good luck with the rest of this one. And it worked out very, very well. Renegades, they won the lane matchup that Coast, to be fair, opted directly into. A bit rough there. And then just the overall team fight play, much better for Renegades. They played the lanes more intelligently. Coast failed to go to the source of the global when the gold was still equal, right? When the push was going to be the same on both sides. That broke down. Renegades got ahead, and they just closed it out.
Too little, too late when they actually started recognizing it.
Yeah.
And going over to the man of the hour here was Maple Street. 44,000 damage in this game. The most damage by 20,000.
27 KDA Callista game. Absolutely amazing play by him. Maple hard carried the semifinals, and in the wins, he's hard carrying the finals now as well for Renegades. Big player for them, but for now, going to throw it over to guys at the analyst desk for